Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Soul Rising podcast. I am your host, Amanda McCoy Flanagan. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, I have the amazing Trunnis Goggins II. I was on his show, The 4Ps, a couple weeks ago, and I always like to offer a reciprocation, but I really need more than that. I want Trunnis to talk to us today. He's a Goggins, and he's got the grit, and he's got the resilience, and I want him to tell us about these 4Ps, which is the name of his podcast. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Trunnis, and then we're going to jump into the conversation. He also is part of the Get Griefy collective that I talk about all the time, and he's got a very sad story. So he will share that, and then we'll jump into these 4Ps of what creates this purpose-driven life, which I think is really important right now because there's a lot of these generations after us are kind of just like, whatever. So I love it. You have like this oomph in you. It's awesome. Okay, so let's get to it. Trunnis Goggins II is a U.S. Navy veteran, entrepreneur, and author known for transforming military-honed discipline into innovative ventures that uplift communities and empower individuals worldwide. Following his service, he founded 4P Group, LLC, a dynamic publishing and professional development organization specializing in emerging authors, leadership training, and personal growth. Goggins is the author of the 4Ps of You, Expanded Edition, an influential model that integrates the principles of purpose, planning, passion, and persistence to help readers build sustainable paths to success. As the architect of the rapidly expanding Stories of anthology series, including stories of veterans, stories of children lost, stories of transgression and recovery, stories of friends and family lost, and others, he has created a global platform for authentic, transformative storytelling. Today, Goggins combines his entrepreneurial drive and military leadership experience to mentor authors, guide mission-driven projects, and deliver keynote messages centered on resilience, discipline, and purpose-driven living. His work continues to inspire audiences across the United States, Canada, Australia, and the UK, solidifying his reputation as a leader committed to service, innovation, and the power of story. So, Trunnis, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. It's funny how it says Canada, the United States, and the UK and Australia. And there is a common theme. They all speak English. I only know one language. So if you're in Ireland, you're next. So there you go.
Perfect. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your story? What kind of drove you to this work? I mean, I'm sure your story starts way back in childhood, right? But anything you want to share with us that kind of led you to this passion, this purpose, this drive that you have, this spirit?
Thank you very much. My story goes back. Yeah, I can go back to childhood, but I'm not. What I am going to say is it goes back to two defining moments. One was watching my father as he was passing away. Very successful man, but there are so many things that he held on to that he didn't let go of. And he held on to it because they were paying the bills. And he talked about all the things that he really should have done. And it led me to another part. I lost my daughter, and I was living in Indiana at the time, and I had a great job. I mean, I had a phenomenal job, making very, very, very good money. And one day, I just didn't feel, all these things that were going on in my life. And I went back to my father's deathbed, literally went back to my father's deathbed, which he had died about 5 years before. And I said, if I continue on this path, I'm going to say the same words that my father said as he was dying. And I felt bad when he was saying it. I don't want to say it again. So I literally let go of everything. Wow. I mean, I went from, beautiful home, beautiful this, beautiful that, got rid of all of it and did a complete rebuild of my life. And the only way I can do that was to actually put together, how am I going to do it? My PhD's in strategic management. So I said, how am I going to rebuild my life? And I spent all this money and all this time on getting my PhD. I might as well consult myself. And I said, I can only do this in 4 ways. I need to know what my purpose is. I need to have a plan. I need to make sure that that purpose is actually something I want to do and not something that society wants me to do. Because if you don't, you're not going to have a passion for it. I'm doing it because everybody wants me to, or everybody expects me to. And then I have to realize that I'm now doing this. I was 49, 48 when I did it. I am now doing this at a point to where, even though 48, 49 is not old, especially now since I'm 54, it's really not old. I wish I was back there, but I have to have the persistence to move forward and not give up.
Yeah, I was thinking about that recently, that whole persistence piece specifically, because I'm a pretty persistent person.
Mhm.
I usually just go until I get what I need. How long do you think it would say, like as a business, like coaching entrepreneurs? How long do you think it takes? Was it like 3 years? I feel like I've heard before people start to actually get some kind of momentum in their business.
It takes about 5 years,
Five.
actually. It does take about 5 years. So the persistence is there. Now, if you are in a business just to make money, those 5 years, that's where people go out of business.
Yeah.
We always hear success stories. The owner of the Washington Capitals, the hockey team, I actually watched a television show and he was on it. And there was one part of his life where he had to make payroll and all he had was $7 in his account.
Wow.
And he then, because remember, persistence, it's sacrifice, basically. He
Yes.
took his American Express credit card in order to make sure they made payroll. He maxed it out. So that is persistence. And again, he really wanted to do what he was doing. That's what he wanted. So again, persistence, like you said, I'm a persistent person. And then what you did is you followed up with, I go until I get what I need.
Mhm.
Okay. So you said need, a need is a lot different than want. Okay.
Mhm.
So when you said need, I will do what I have to do to need. There's a lot of people. There was a speech that I heard years ago. I forgot who did it, but he used an analogy where a guru was teaching this guy how to make money. And what he did to this guy was he said, okay, I'm going to show you something. Come to the beach with me. And he took him out in the water and he dunked his head in the water and just dunked it in there. And he held him down.
Mhm.
And he then, after a while, he let him up and he says, okay, while you're underwater, what did you want to do? Because I wanted to breathe. And that's what persistence is. You want to get what you want to get as much as you want to breathe.
Which is a need.
Yes. If you don't, like, for example, this is just a little bit after lunchtime, but you know what? I wouldn't mind having some chips and salsa right now. Okay. But I am not going to get up from this interview to get chips and salsa.
Yeah.
On the same note, if something happened, God forbid, in the place where I'm sitting right now, where the oxygen gets cut off, Amanda, I'm sorry, our conversation's over. I'm going upstairs to breathe. Okay. That's it. And so that's the thing about persistence. If you really, really want something, you are going to be persistent. And you're going to do whatever it takes to get it.
And you use the word sacrifice. So that brings me to a question. So is that maybe one of certain traits that a person, or I don't know if it's a trait, but somebody must be willing to do? Like, what are the things that somebody must be willing to do in order to get that thing that they want? Like, what is it in a person? I often wonder, like I was saying before we started, we were chatting, like in recovery, there are certain people that get it, whatever that it is, and then people who struggle. And I always wonder, it's like my ultimate question, what is in the person that has that grit to do the things that are uncomfortable, to make those sacrifices, to make that change in them versus somebody who's not? Is it innate? Is it a learned skill? What is it?
I think it is. I don't think it's a learned skill at all. I think it is innate. I think it is something where, when it comes to recovery,
And that's not just recovery.
yeah, well, in anything, but when it comes to that, you have to get to the point to where, wow, I am tired of this. And whatever you're tired of, you're so tired of that you're not willing to do it anymore. And you're willing to make that sacrifice. For example, I was absolutely tired of what I was doing in life when I gave up everything. So what was my sacrifice? My sacrifice was literally to take what I was worth at the time financially and go from that to literally zero. I was in a marriage that was failing. You know what? I said, here, you can have the house. I had a retirement fund. You can have that too. I don't care. I have to change. So
Mhm.
what was the sacrifice? The sacrifice was giving up everything. And would you give up everything for something else? That's the sacrifice. If you're not willing to do that, then don't do it. That is not a sacrifice you want to get. Now, after that, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he did that. That is so admirable. Okay, that's great. But there are so many steps in between that from there to where I am today, where it's like, holy crap, did I really need to do that? And there's a lot of things that during that sacrifice that you didn't think of.
Mhm.
We as a parent and as a grandparent, great parents do things that they would never do for anybody else.
Yeah.
And if you think about it as a parent, you would do anything in the world for your child,
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
so that's the sacrifice, even when again, the unintended breaks your heart. You go out there, you do everything you have to do to get your kid to college. I have a friend of mine who he literally sold his boat to make sure his kid went to college. He had a beautiful boat, sold it so his kid can go to college. I've known this person since before the kid was born.
Mhm.
So I know how much it meant for him to sell the boat.
Yeah.
Now, guess what? The kid flunked out.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, dude. And you know what? The thing is he said, I was looking at him. I was like, man, I would wring this kid's neck. I said, there's no doubt about it. I mean, that is unbelievable. Can't believe it. He owes you all this money, blah, 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 blah. And you know what he said? And he said something beautiful. He says, I would do it all over again.
Mm. He showed his child that that's how much he loves him, that he's willing to give up something that is so near and dear to him and makes him happy for the happiness, the health, the education of his
Exactly.
child.
Exactly. Now, I doubt he's going to ever do that again,
Yeah, probably not.
but I hope he doesn't. That's what sacrifice is.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
And so you lost your daughter.
Mhm.
How do you think how did it change you? Because I know people go through like big traumas, traumatic losses. Life
Mhm.
just becomes real, like in focus. Like nothing else really matters. So did this part of
Yeah.
you grow? Was it always in you? Was it something that her death and the magnitude of that, did it wake you up? Did you have some kind of profound awakening around that pushed you even harder?
I've always had I don't give a shit attitude, but my I don't give a shit attitude was always balanced by how much do I really want to lose?
Mm.
Okay. So when you lose a child, there's nothing anybody can threaten you with.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like nothing
And it's
matters.
like, I don't, this is going to happen to you. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? And that's how you feel. It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, the worst
Yeah,
possible thing.
exactly. So at that point, I don't want to say you get reckless. You're just willing to take risk that no one in their right mind is really willing to take. I would never tell anybody right now that at middle age, when you are at the height of your career, I would never tell anybody to do what I did.
Mm.
I would tell them to gradually do what I did and kind of like, take steps to make sure you get to where you are. And then, oh, wow, now you can let go of something, right? I would never tell anybody to do what I did. I went from a 5-bedroom house to a 2-bedroom apartment in less than 48 hours.
Wow.
Okay. I
Yeah.
went from a job that paid really, really good money to a job that made the very high 5 figures in less than 2 weeks after that.
And what was that purpose? What were you trying to do at that point?
I was trying to get out of Indiana. Okay. I did not want to be in Indiana anymore. I was miserable there. I was going through a whole bunch of, just mental stuff. I didn't want to be there. That's number one. Number two, I was really trying to live what I really wanted to do. I got my PhD so I can teach class and write books. And I wasn't doing that at all. I was working in administration for the largest community college. Actually, I think it's the 5th largest in the country.
Mhm.
And I was like, this is not what I wanted.
Yeah.
And so I could stay there and drive the fancy cars and do the good stuff and all that other garbage. I didn't want to do it. again, like I said, I went back to my dad sitting in the hospital bed saying, I wish I would. And now he's like literally like 2 weeks away from death. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to be like that.
It's amazing that you learned. A lot of people don't learn from other people's mistakes and experiences. Most people have to go through them themselves. Amazing that you learned. So do you think traumas, whether our childhood trauma or pain or grief, whenever as a kid throughout life, does it serve us in some way? Is it like I feel like I'm grateful for my pain because I'm not sure I've sought the depths of healing that I have, which then set me free, created self-worth, brought me to my true self, that then has now propelled me into all the things I'm doing now. I don't know. What do you think?
I think you're right. I think that you have to have the attitude that you have, Amanda, to have your childhood traumas help you. Your childhood traumas can hurt you too.
Sure.
I have two stories. In the stories of, I have a book called Stories of Transgression and Recovery. I have this individual in the book. Her name is Darcy Frederick, and her mother kicked her out of the house because her mother did not like her father. So her mother and her father, weird story. Please buy the book if you guys, Stories of Transgression and Recovery. Yes, I just do a plug right there. But what happened was her mother had Darcy out of wedlock. The father, apparently, to the mother, was a jerk. She hated him, this, that, and the other. The mother ended up getting married to another man, okay, who kind of raised Darcy, kind of not, whatever. But at 14 years old, the mother got sick of Darcy because, again, I don't like you. I don't like your father. Get out. So at 14 years old, this woman was kicked out on the street. She had nowhere to go.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. She ended up going into a life of prostitution. She went into a life of she was a stripper. She was all these different things, drug addict, all of these things. Okay. However, now she's a best-selling author. She is a fantastic person. She goes to teen challenges all over the country, talks to young teens, all of these things. She's just fantastic. Okay. All of this happened during the same lifespan and during the same period as a woman by the name of Eileen Wuornos. And if you've never heard of Eileen Wuornos, you need to watch the movie Monster.
Okay.
It's the story of Eileen Wuornos. Eileen Wuornos was kicked out of the house. She was molested. She was sexually assaulted. She was a prostitute. She was kicked out of the house as a young woman and all these other things. Okay. Both during the same period. Darcy was doing this in Minnesota, and at the same exact time, it's the weirdest thing, at the same exact time, Eileen Wuornos was going through her thing in Florida. Darcy, best-selling author, Eileen Wuornos, executed. She was a serial killer.
Yeah, like what is in the person? Like this is like the ultimate question that I always had.
It may not necessarily be in the person. It's like the glass half full, half empty. It's almost like, how am I looking at it? Like, for example, I'm a huge sports fan. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, all that other stuff. The Buffalo Bills are 8-4. Okay? They are 8-4. Pretty good team. I know that there's a lot of other football teams out there that would love to be 8-4.
Yeah.
Okay? Guess what? I hope they don't make the playoffs. And I'm saying that because I'm a Bills fan, because I want changes. I want them to get kicked in the butt hard enough so then they don't make it. And I know that if anybody from Buffalo is watching this, yes, I know I'm still Bills Mafia. I understand, but things have to change, right? It's how you look at it. I look at 8-4 as an awful record because they could do so much better. Other people look at 8-4 as something beautiful. Okay. Yeah. Someone like Darcy, I'm sure that when she was living on the streets in Minneapolis, Minnesota during the 1970s, she was probably looking not at the people who were sexually assaulting her and kicking her and beating her on the streets. She wasn't looking at those people as much as she was looking at, and you could tell in the way she writes, she was looking at the people who showed her love and compassion because they were very few and far between. And so she appreciated that so much that it caused her to change her life. Whereas Eileen Wuornos is probably looking at, you know what, I'm going to get my revenge.
So what's interesting is my phone rang. I don't know if I turned it over, clicked it off.
Yeah.
It was my sponsor, Joni.
Mm-hmm.
Joni always says, what you focus on gets bigger, right? So it's just that mindset of Darcy was looking at the people who love her, the support she had, and that energy grew, and then she
Mm-hmm.
attracted it. She was drawn to it, and then that just became her reality.
Exactly.
As Eileen. But so where does that come from? Where does that mindset? Is that something we're taught as a child? We watch our parents do that, and then we think that's what life is, how it's supposed to live.
No, I don't think so. Because if you look at it, and I don't think it's how we're taught. Could be. I don't know. But I'm gonna answer the question like this. You know my story, and obviously you read my brother's story. Okay. We were raised, we have the same parents, and this and the other. There are some alterations here and there, but our outlook on life is very different.
Is it a soul thing? Is it like we come in?
It may be a soul thing. It may be just the way we look and interpret it. Things. It just may be in our interpretation. Great example. One day, my grandmother made a major dinner. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why. She was just on a kick, and she just cooked everything in the refrigerator that day, right? And my grandfather came in. I mean, there was more food than you can ever eat. My grandfather came in and said, "What? No fried chicken? No joke."
Oh my God. I hope we got in trouble for that.
It was, yeah, I mean, but
Her was probably a tough cookie, right? Your grandma.
yeah, she was. But I mean, think about that. Think about what I'm looking at. I just told you a story. I mean, you opened up the entire refrigerator,
and that's the one. Well, yeah.
No fried chicken. And there are people that are born with negative attitudes. I don't know how they get the negative attitude. There are people born with positive attitudes, and I don't know how they get the positive attitude. I don't know if it's just a series of events that, I'm always going to look at the sun, or there's a series of events where I'm always going to look at that cloud that's getting ready to go over the sun, even though it's not over the sun yet, but it's going to make our sky a little darker.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I interrupted you. You were talking, I spoke over
That's
you.
okay.
I have that bad New
No.
York hat.
It's okay.
You were starting to talk about you and your brother, and the habits so different. Well, I'm sure you why? I'm sure you've thought of, like why? How?
I think we were different. I'm a little older. So, you always have the older brother that has a different, or the older sibling always has a different outlook, has to do different things. And then the younger sibling, you've heard tests like that, this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing is it could be our outlook on life. It could be just the way we reacted to certain things, our level of responsibility at different times of our life.
Uh-huh.
Okay. It could be anything like that. For example, as we get older, I had children at a much younger age than my brother had children. Okay. I've had more children. I'm a grandfather. He's not a grandfather yet. I really do think that environment has a lot to do with it. I think that even though we were in the same environment, but we were at the same environment at different times. We're 4 years different. Okay. So, I mean, I grew up, Ronald Reagan was still president of the United States. It was like, oh, this is all great. He grew up in the 90s, so to speak. You know what I mean? So a little grungy, there's a little bit, going on there. So it's a little twinge, even though it's just 4 years, there's a lot of things that can happen that can change that.
And also what's going on in the home. We often say, oh my gosh, 2 kids, they grew up in the same house and they're so different. Yeah, it's their personality, right? They're born different.
Absolutely.
Also, things going on in our parents' marriages, in just who's around, who's working, who's home, who's with the financial situation, right? There's the responsibilities, like you're saying. Different things that happen, just happenstance in other people's life journeys.
Absolutely.
Affect us, right? So, all right. So let's talk a little bit more about what the 4 Ps are for people to break them down.
Okay.
So the first one, purpose. Are these in order? Do you feel you need to have a purpose and then you make a plan? Like, how do these intertwine? And then we have passion.
I think purpose has to be the first thing. Plan, passion, and persistence, you can put them in any other way. One thing I always tell people, and I say it in the book, don't marry your plan. I use the business example of Blockbuster Video. Blockbuster had a phenomenal business plan.
Yeah.
Okay. They grew a small video store into an empire.
Yep.
But they stuck to their plan. And they failed.
They didn't change with the changing time.
They didn't change. This is what's going to work. If you look at it now, if you look at automobiles, how often do you see Cadillacs? Just think about it.
Not very. Yeah.
Not very. No, you don't see Cadillacs. But at one time, if you said that is the Cadillac of the industry,
Yeah.
all right, at one point we say that's a Cadillac. Now, if you're the Cadillac of the industry, you're pretty much in trouble because
Mm.
I'm thinking about it totally different now. And the reason for that is because, and I tell people this, you stick to your plan. Do you know Cadillac did not get rid of fins on the back of their car until the 1990s?
Wow.
We were so removed from fins. You're like, who cares? I don't want a fin on my car. So think about it. We were all having all this aerodynamic and stuff like that, and you still have a car out there that has fins. Again, they were stuck to their plan. They were married to their plan. You need to have a plan, but remember, you always have to be flexible and get rid of it if you have to. But purpose and passion and persistence go hand in hand.
Okay.
I mean, you have to, if you do not have passion, again, we went back to our conversation. We started before. If you don't have passion, you're not going to do it. I don't care what it is.
Yeah. You're going to get tired of it, or it's just going to become annoying to you, as to where if there's a passion, there's an inner drive. There's something, a higher purpose. There's something really pushing you that means something to you in a core, deep, deep level, that
Absolutely.
it's not feel like so much work to just keep doing the thing day after day. It's not going to feel like drudgery. It's going to feel exciting.
Exactly. Right now, I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do. Do I make as much money as I made before? Not yet, but it's getting there. But I get up in the morning and it's just like, I can't wait. What am I going to do today? What author am I going to talk to today? Where am I going to go? What am I going to, what books am I going to sign? Who am I going to help? A lot of my books are tied in with nonprofits throughout the world. If I sell this book today, who's going to be helped by this book?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. You have a deeper, real, to me, it feels spiritual, like of love, of compassion, of healing, right? It's
Absolutely.
not about the dollar bills. Like, yes, we need money to live, right? It's going to come, like you're saying, you're on your way. You stay true to yourself when you stay in that passion. And I don't know about you. I mean, like, I don't have to do it much anymore, but I'd say in the beginning, when I first started everything that I'm doing, I had to check myself and get back to my motive. What's my motive here? Like, why am I really doing this? Is it, for me to be out there? Hey, look at me. Or is it really to be healing, helping other people heal and myself heal really too, right? A lot of the work that it was also for us. And I'm sure you have that experience with, you are helping these authors to get their stories out, which is always healing and cathartic because they're writing, right? And then to be published authors, like, that's a great achievement. But we also have that drive within us that we're doing it for us to heal a part of ourselves, or just to feel like we're contributing somehow to this crazy spinning rock that we're on, right? We could be doing all these things.
Absolutely.
You, a successful man here, like, you could do probably anything you want. You could probably sit here and say, you know what? I'm going to scrap all this and I'm going to go and do, I don't know, I'm going to go work for whatever bullshit, right? But like, you're driven by something higher and greater. And I think that's beautiful. So tell us about the books. Let's say there's authors listening that have had stories of grief and loss. What's the criteria? Like, what does one need to have gone through, or like, how do you choose your authors?
Well, I choose them by their story, as long as their story inspires. My son was talking to someone that was at our Thanksgiving dinner, not related to us. And he said, don't be a professional victim.
Oh, I like that.
And so my books, everyone in my book they've gone through, and I'm going to use the Shawshank Redemption. They crawled through a tunnel of shit and came out smelling like a rose.
Yes.
So that is exactly what I want my authors to do. So they have to have done something extraordinary. We have a book coming out, Another Stories of, that's coming out, and it's called Stories of Miraculous Transformation. One of the people in our book is a serial bank robber.
Wow.
Okay. He is in our book, serial bank robber. He gets out of prison and says, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. His job now is to go help banks not get robbed.
Wow.
And he speaks throughout the entire world. And I'm like, these are the stories. So, I mean, yeah, you started out pretty crappy. And when you read his story, it's like, wow, that's really jacked up stuff. you know, but he comes out of it a totally different person. So if someone's reading this story about a bank robber who now helps people no longer rob banks, it shows you it doesn't matter where you are or how low you think you are. You could be somebody recovering from drug addiction. You could be somebody who, I don't care what it is, but what you are doing is it's not too late. And you can literally do a 180 just like that. We have another person who lost, I think, 320 pounds.
Wow.
You know, and now she owns her own diet coaching. And she has clients and she does all these things. And so those are the things that we have in the book. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. What's that moment of, because I'm sorry, I'm listening to you as I'm making it, because I will forget. In the moment of that 180, like that moment of transformation, have you seen a thread through all of your authors? Is there a pattern? Is there something? Is it spiritual, like divine intervention? Like
Sometimes.
what's that moment of awakening for people?
Sometimes it is divine intervention. Sometimes it's like, you know what, this is my trajectory. This is how my life's going to be forever. I don't want it to be that way. Sometimes it's like, hey, you're going to die. You know, I mean, could you imagine going to hey, that's your story. You're going to die. You live like this. That's it. You know, and those are the things that we're talking about. Like, for example, in the book that I have about veterans who are transitioning to military life, ton of things that went on with them. And then they wanted to come back and say, hey, I want to help other individuals so they don't have to go through what I went through. That is a hell of a transition. I'm going to tell you that when I went from Navy to civilian, I came out with a master's degree and everything else like that, had a great job, all that other good stuff. And I still went through a transition. It still played with me.
Yeah.
You know, and so, and those are the things.
That's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible. So there's a lot of talk, like a lot of people listen to my show. I think they're soulful, spiritual. They think broadly. They're interested in what's going on. I think, not so much on like a 3D like level, but maybe more on like the 5D, like, and things that are unseen, invisible, things like that. And we're taught to trust the process. We're taught to like trust the universe, trust spirit, trust whatever, get out of your own way and just let life deliver things to you, embrace them, receive them, whatever. How do people balance, and I'm asking this because this is kind of my audience, how do people balance that sort of trust in whatever life is going to give you versus this purpose-driven drive? Because we have to take action. There's a certain amount of, I guess, control that we have to feel or present or take over our lives. How do we balance that, like, trust the universe and charge hard?
I grew up in a family where you charge hard, you know, and my father's favorite song was Frank Sinatra's My Way, you know, and so, okay, you know what I mean? I will tell you, sometimes I listen to it and I'm 54 years old now. I'm like, oh, I understand what he meant by that, but I'm still like, okay, whatever. You do have a lot of control over your life. And I do believe in self-determination. I also believe that shit's going to happen to you. Okay. But if you put yourself, if the stuff that you can control, if you could put yourself in the best possible situation, in the best possible position, when shit does happen to you, it's not going to hurt as bad. Okay. You know, like right now, I work out as much as I can. I do all of these things. And at 54, you know, people are starting to talk about, you know, brittle bones and all that other stuff. Well, you know what? I found out that, yes, I can still break a bone, but if I have very, very strong muscles, I may not break them as much as I'm going to break them. There's some things that are going to happen. I'm going to die one day. You know, it sucks like that, you know, but on the same note, it's like, how am I going to make sure that the rest of my life, I may have 50 years, I may have 50 minutes, I don't know. But in that time, am I living it the best I can? You know, you're genetically prepositioned, or whatever that word is, predisposed. Thank you. And I'm a PhD too, believe me. But you're genetically predisposed to certain elements. Cancers and dementia and stuff like that. Okay, yes, I understand that, but how am I going to prolong that? Everybody, all the men in my family just about have diabetes. I have a sweet tooth. So what am I going to do? Okay, how am I going to prevent from getting diabetes? What things can I do? Okay, well, don't eat as many sweets and drink a lot of water. Do this, work out, burn it out, take supplements that make sure it controls your sugar levels and stuff like that, and you're good to go. Am I not going to get diabetes? I don't know.
It'll be
But
interesting.
I'm going to, exactly. Universe may throw it right at me. Okay. But that's what I do.
Have you heard of the Human Genome Project?
Yes, I have.
So that was like in the 90s. So they are saying that, like, yes, we are predisposed to certain cancers and illnesses and stuff, but that doesn't 100% mean that you're going to get it. So that's an
Exactly.
interesting study. I'm going to check in with you in like 10, 20 years and see. I'm trying to fight off autoimmune disease. I'm doing the same exact thing. I eat an anti-inflammatory diet. I exercise. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I read. I sleep. I meditate. Like, I do all the stuff I'm supposed to do. As you were talking before, the phrase that came to me was overshooting the mark. It kind of feels like you were starting to talk about like going above, right? Like shoot for the stars, you'll land among the moon or whatever they say.
Yeah.
Phrases, right? So like going over and above doing the thing will ensure that you will land somewhere you want to.
Absolutely.
That's what you were kind of trying to say.
Or somewhere where you're comfortable. Somewhere where you're like, okay, I can, I don't want this, but I can settle for this. Because like you said, there's certain things that are going to happen. We know that.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm not supposed to. Like if I keep trying and trying and trying for this thing, maybe the universe is trying to redirect me. Maybe what I think I need or want is really not going to serve me and the world around me the best.
Absolutely.
Right.
That is so true. As a Christian, I hate to say this. I listen to some ministers, sometimes these name it and claim it ministers. And they said, if you do this, your God's going to give you this. No. It's not going to happen that way. I kind of sit there and say, if you think of God as a parental figure, there's certain things that a parent, like for example, if my grandson who's 11 years old, he lives with me, he comes to me and says, Dad, I want a motorcycle. Okay. The answer is no, you're not getting one. Even though I know it's going to make you happy to have one. I know once you get on that motorcycle, you're going to f yourself up. Okay. And I don't want that to happen to you. So we're going to do something else. And so you redirect. And that's what life, that's basically what happens.
True. Oh, it's interesting. Life is so fascinating. It really, really is. So cool to think about this stuff. I always ask my peeps if they have any like interesting tidbit, nugget, words of wisdom that you want to drop on our listeners before we go.
You know what? I will say that always serve your purpose. I want you to look at yourself right now and you want to ask yourself, are you serving your purpose or if you're serving someone else's purpose? If you are serving someone else's purpose, you're going to be miserable down the line. Make sure that you take the steps to make sure you are doing exactly what you want to do in life. And I'm going to tell you, it leads to a much happier life.
I love it. Yeah, being true to ourselves. I think we're all being called. Like, I think everybody, whether they're conscious of it or not, are kind of in this awakening phase where it's not okay to be doing what we're told to do or what we should do. There's a big resistance against that. So I think things are changing for the better. And I think part of the big part of that is what you just said. Following your purpose, finding your purpose, just tapping in. So, okay, quick though, how can people do that? Do you have one tip or tool how they can really find their purpose? Is it writing? Is it praying? What is it?
Take some time and look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, like you ask a child or something like that, what do you want? And then answer yourself.
Honestly.
Literally looking.
Yeah.
Actually, look yourself right in the eye. You can't lie to yourself if you're looking yourself in the eye in the mirror. You really can't.
True.
Yeah.
Yes. You look in your eyes and you're going to see your truth. That's amazing. That's so cool. All right, Trunnis, where can people find you? Tell us what you're up to. Do the whole deal. Where can they get your books?
I do have a book coming out called Lessons from My Father. If anybody read my brother's book, you know about my dad. And I'm just writing a book saying these are the lessons I learned. Good lessons, bad lessons, all that other stuff that comes out January 19th. I'll tell you right now, there's a couple times I was writing in that book and shed a couple tears. Trust me on that.
Oh, I'm sure.
But it's going to be a great book. It's a book so you can learn a lesson from it. That'll be out January 19th. And just look out for some really cool things that are going to be happening in 2026.
And where can they find you? Where can they follow you? Your website?
My name is so like common, Trunnis Goggins, but you can find me on Facebook.
It's common, yeah.
Instagram. You can find me like that. You can also reach me at 4psgroup.com. 4ps-group.com. I don't know who has another 4Ps, even though that is common. It's 4Ps in marketing, but still, 4ps-group.com. You can reach me on that. Please get me on Instagram, get me on Facebook. You'll be able to see me on any of those.
Do you work
TikTok.
Sorry.
Say again?
Do you work one-on-one with people? Do you coach people?
I do. Reach out to me. Send me an email, and it's at Trunnis at 4ps-group.com. And I'll be happy to work.
4ps-group.com. I'll put all this, links and everything in the show notes.
Roger that. All right. Thank you.
All right, Trunnis. So great to spend time with you.
Great spending time with you as well.
Very much. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.